Hi, it's Friday morning, just before 9 o'clock, and just going to head off and get the bus down to Smithfield. And see, those flowers are doing well, doing very well. So is the Panama berry is doing quite nicely. Been doing a lot of research into travel. It's quite confusing at the moment when it comes to what you can and can't do when it comes to travelling to Thailand. None of the Australian insurance companies, are offering travel insurance to Thailand at this stage, even though Jetstar is selling airline tickets, so it's quite confusing. I'm assuming that the insurance companies are waiting to hear from the federal government, or waiting for the official time that international flights resume, because information on the insurance sites is out of date. It's got what's it saying there? Oh, gone. Oh, God. Real estate agents. Yeah, I couldn't work out what that was saying. Usually just say sold. Now they're saying gone. It's very competitive up here for real estate. But yeah, look, getting back to the travel insurance situation, I did check out Fast Cover, which is the mob I've used last time for travel insurance, and they still have information saying that you have to have permission to get to certain countries. And I guess technically that is correct right now, but it's going to change, and fairly soon, so in November. So, I guess they've just got to wait till it all becomes official. So, not that it matters. I can start the wheels turning now if I really wanted to. I could book a ticket, an airline ticket, I could book accommodation, and I could get... If I go through booking.com, the accommodation could be cancelled anyway, and the same with the flight can be rescheduled. I'm sure that's how they all work these days in the post-COVID era, because there's just no certainty anymore with flights and what have you. So yeah, but it is confusing. I found some good places, funnily enough, in Nanay Road, which runs behind the main beach in Phuket, and I think that'd be a very good part of the world to stay in, presuming again that bars reopen. I think there's a bit of a push on there in Thailand right now, because I'm watching The Tiger, which is a daily expat type TV channel that's on YouTube. And they've been saying that there is a lot of pressure for the bars to be able to reopen, at least for the restaurants to be able to serve alcohol. So the push is on to get things moving, because they're not going to have the big push of tourists unless they basically open up the place again, so people can have a good time when they go to Thailand. I mean, not being able to drink is going to be a downer for a lot of people, including myself. And that Nanay Road has got a lot of bars. I'm quite surprised. I'm not so attracted to the beach. I mean, I don't think that the Patong beach in particular is a particularly nice beach in Phuket. So that's no great attraction to me. But I do like the soy that actually runs behind it. It's a couple of streets behind it, actually. It's a fair distance away. It's probably about 1k away from the actual beach. But seeing I live near a beach, I'm not exactly beach deprived these days. So I'd be more interested in sort of like the social life and stuff that takes place there. I saw an excellent place yesterday, an Airbnb place, which is up on a hill, and it just looks superb. It was the perfect sort of place for me. Lots of wood. Oh, I love the way they've just parked right where the bus picks you up. That's not very convenient. I couldn't have picked the worst place to park. I better just wait over here, because the bus won't even see me. That's ridiculous. I don't know why they're parked there. Anyway, I'll do it here because there's no way I can actually get seen there, because it just comes around the corner. So the best bet would be to just wait down here, I think. Typical. Anyway, yeah, look, so I did find this really nice place on top of a hill, all this wood. It's on the top level. It's a little bit of a hike. It's a bit further away, but it's actually quite reasonably priced too. It's around 800 Australian for a month, so that's pretty reasonable. I also found a booking.com place which was only marginally more than that, which is a bit more central, and you were in your own standalone villa, so that was nice too. Not as spectacular a view as the other place though. The other one's elevated, so it's got a great view, and it just looks superb inside, you know, with all the wood. So yeah, not bad. But yeah, well, it looks like some people are staying up here. Some travellers, looks of things. I mean, they could be living here. I mean, I'd be doing that, I guess, if I got a bus. Actually, you can't get a bus from the airport though, so that's interesting. I don't know where they would. Anyway, usually you see someone walking a dog, something a bit different. Anyway, look, I found these good places, and the reason I'm targeting Phuket is that Phuket is the only place currently scheduled in Thailand you can fly. There's no flights to Vietnam until I think April or May, so that's out. And I don't want to go to Chiang Mai or Saigon at this time of the year. It's winter in Saigon and the smog's terrible, and Chiang Mai is the same. It's up north, and it's well, the winter part's good. It's nice, cool, but the burn off is going to be the killer, and the weather will be changing pretty soon and get quite hot. So it's not the ideal time. The ideal time is in January, but after that, yeah, it's just not. It's not an option anyway. I just can't. The only flights that are available are ones to Phuket, so that's it. And I'm not a huge fan of Phuket, but then again, I haven't stayed in this part of Patong, and yeah. But I think actually, rather than going down to the main drag there in Patong, I'd be probably spending more time in that soi. So. And you know, there are some very pretty parts around there. There's like quite a few elevated spots behind the beach and what have you. So, and you know, there's always there's the Thai food and the culture and all that stuff as well. But I would like to know that the bars are going to be open. That's fairly important. If you can't socialise, what's the point of going away? You know, it doesn't make much sense to me. But yeah, well, so I get my wheels in motion. I can start booking stuff. I don't have to be 100% committed. And the earliest I can go over there is the 12th. Oh, the other complication is that the first night, at the moment, you have to be in an SHA accredited hotel, which is one that can give you the COVID test, and unfortunately the ones that I was looking at, neither one of which has that certification next to it. So what I might have to do is actually just get one of those, stay in one of those certified hotels for the first night. That's another little problem. And the other one, of course, is if you have a positive result to the test, then you have to quarantine. You're up for thousands of dollars and you can't enjoy the trip anyway. So it's not super easy. There's a few hassles here and there, so a lot of things to consider. It's beautiful day to day, absolutely superb. Really nice weather. Yeah, it's a good time of the year, and the time of the year I want to get away would be in January, probably December as well for that matter, but especially January and February. I wouldn't mind being out of the country at that stage. I could even get a 60-day visa to Thailand for $60 through the Thai embassy. That's the other option too. So a lot of things to think about, a hell of a lot. It's just made it more complicated because of all the COVID stuff, but I'd still like to travel at the first opportunity. Oh, it was a particularly crowded bus trip. Surprise, a lot of students on board. I got on that bus because I was hoping to avoid school kids, but the slack asses are getting to school really late. It's supposed to be 9 o'clock, but it was definitely after the hour. So what's new? But there's just a lot of people in general on the bus. I don't know why. And yeah, I guess that's public for you. Don't know what they're going to do. I just got to get my my beefeater at Murphy's, show the ID, and it's just up here, it's right near the end. There's a lot of walking involved to go to Smithfield, and once I've got that, then I just go to Woolworths and do my shopping and head back home and finally have my coffee for the morning, which would be nice. And I assume it'll be a much quieter bus ride back in the opposite direction. We'll see. Hard to tell. I still haven't been to that pub. It's near the Smithfield Tavern. Haven't popped in there yet. No great desire. I'm looking forward to going back to bars overseas, though they're good fun. Always nice chatting to expats or travellers or whatever. There's an Aussie pub just down in Nanay Road that I wouldn't mind checking out. They've got a happy hour, starts I think about 10 o'clock through to 5 p.m. Then they put their prices up, but the prices look quite reasonable prior to that. So, it could be a total dive. You never know, worth checking out I guess. There's a lot of different bars down, that's what I like. It's actually fairly compact. That's what I like about Asia too. It's just, compared to here, much more compact, a lot of variety. Wow, super busy at the supermarket and Smithfield in general today too. And that's an obstruction, don't you have to work around. And what's going on there? It's quite a warm wind today. Yeah, I got my stuff, all my shopping done, but gee, I found people wandering in front of me all the time in the aisles in the supermarket. Very strange. Anyway, I'm glad that's out of the way, and if the bus turns up, I'll be getting myself a nice cup of coffee in about half an hour's time. That'll be nice. It is a nice route to the back home on the bus, I've got to say. Much nicer than if you're in the city. Just less to screen. Yeah, it's pretty heavy actually. Got quite a bit of gear there. Just bought 31 bucks worth of groceries. So those are nothing compared to most people these days, but reasonable amount for me anyway. So anyway, that's good. I'm glad that's out of the way, and I can go home and relax. Alarm's going crazy at Woolworths behind me. It just happened straight after I finished my shopping, which might have been fantastic timing as it turned out. Because we might have had to abandon the place. All my groceries about to be put through the checkout. Except the woman at checkout didn't seem to be fussed at all when she heard the alarm, but it's sounding a bit more serious now. Hi guys, it's Saturday, warmish Saturday. It's going to be top 32 degrees. Just had some crazy bird fly right across the backyard, so that would have made a good piece of footage. Made a big decision today. I actually booked an overseas flight, and given the uncertainty surrounding the situation, especially for someone living in Queensland, yeah, I'm taking a bit of a leap of faith here. I spoke to my friend Steve, who's based in Brisbane, and he brought up the very important point that being in Queensland, we have the most restrictive border regulations. Well, maybe WA has the most, but we have probably the second most in Australia. And what it means is if you go overseas, and even if you're a resident here, such as myself, you will have to go through the 2-week quarantine situation in a government approved hotel. In other words, it's going to cost you a few grand at least to do that for 2 weeks. Even if you come back via interstate, if you've been overseas within 14 days of that period, you're basically stuffed. And even if you're fully vaccinated, and this is all based on the fact that Queensland hasn't reached the 90% vaccination rate by the time I return home. And the return ticket for me is actually April, so it's quite a way off, and I should be safe. But the current vaccination, fully vaccinated rate in Queensland is only 61 point something or other, 62% if we're being generous. It needs to get up to 80% to allow interstate travel, to my understanding. And if you want to be able to return as a tourist overseas, and if you're a Queenslander, it has to be 90% before the quarantine kicks in. So the way things are going at the moment, who knows whether that's going to happen. It's there's lots of regions in Queensland that have got a very low vaccination rate. Even the southern part of Cairns apparently is below the high rate. I think that's an Indigenous area again. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is, and that is one of the the Indigenous population don't seem to be getting vaccinated at the same rate, which is a bit damning for a Labor government, because they're supposedly all touchy-feely with all that stuff. But they're a vulnerable group. I know that for a fact because I've got respiratory issues, so that's why I got vaccinated. But apparently Indigenous are in a similar boat. So there you go. So basically I've made the commitment to fly to Phuket in February, so it does give me a little bit of wiggle room. I'm still going to cop a couple of months of summer here, so it's going to be December and January. So I'm either going to get a house sitter or do an Airbnb. I think it'd be the best thing. I mean, I could do with the money. I'm not sure whether I want to go down that track, but it would be nice to have the income. I think I'd like to have one of my rooms lockable so I could put my storage in. This is one of the advantages of having such a big house. I could actually get a workman to put in a new door into one of the rooms and make it lockable, and I could store my own gear there. I remember when I stayed in Chiang Mai in Thailand a few years back, there was a woman from WA who owned the place, and she had one of her bedrooms locked permanently for storage. So it does work, it works out okay. And so that's an option, although there's always a risk when you've got any strangers in your house, double risk of them being bad tenants, short term, whatever. You just don't know. You do have a feedback on people. I guess you've got a choice of who you want to allow to stay, and if they've got good feedback, you're pretty safe. If they're first timers, I wouldn't be doing that. I'd make sure there'd be some feedback before I'd even consider it. But I've never done that. I've never actually rented out my place. But I think I'd get a pretty good rate, and I think even though it's summer, I think it'd be in demand because there's just there's so few places available up here. So look, and it's near the sea, it's near the beach, so it's in a really prime location. So I might do that. I don't know, but I feel a little wary about it. So I'd have to work out whether I'm going to do that or just get a friend to stay here. So that's another option. So I've got a number of options there, and I can still cancel the ticket if everything goes pear-shaped regarding the travel. But look, I'm glad Steve brought that up because I didn't realise it was quite that stringent. 90% is very high bar to achieve, so you can travel freely back from overseas. Now that may well change. It's just a government policy after all, and it could well be reduced if expediency shows that that's required. I'm glad I booked them. I had a voucher anyway that's covered the total cost of that booking, so I'm not out of pocket at all. I will have to pay for connecting flights from Cairns to Sydney, but they're not going to cost much. I think it's actually better to book further ahead than too soon, because this is a moving target so much. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little update on my travel plans. It's a nice buzz to think I can actually go overseas and I'm doing something about it. It just makes me feel good. It's nothing worse than just sort of dithering and sort of going into a fetal position and not sure what to do. It's best to make a decisive action. It hasn't cost me a cent. It's a slight commitment at best. And from now on, I can plan my movements from now on and work out what I'm going to do. And worst case scenario, I might be up for a couple of weeks quarantine in Australia when I return. That will be the worst case scenario. There are worse things in life, so it's a hassle. But look, it's so far ahead. Who knows what's going to happen? You just can't count anything these days. The world is a different place to what it was a couple of years ago. Anyway, that's it. Please give me thumbs up, thumbs down, comment on the video, and don't be afraid to subscribe to my channel. There's no health consequences of doing that. Maybe to your mental health there might be, but to your physical health, none that I know of anyway. So be daring and consider subscribing. That would be good. Okay. So that's a silly end to this video. I hope you enjoyed it.